There is a hidden secret inside two simple words you speak every day, often without realizing it: I am. Two words that carry the power to rewrite your biology, alter your brain chemistry, and transform your cellular reality. Dr. Bruce Lipton, pioneer of epigenetics, discovered something revolutionary. Your words are not just sounds leaving your mouth, they are direct commands to your genes, instructions that your cells receive and obey with a precision that traditional medicine is still learning to understand. But here's the truth that may sting a little: 95% of us use these sacred words as tools of self-destruction. We say, I am anxious, I am a failure, I am sick, and our body listens. Our DNA responds. Our cells reorganize themselves to manifest exactly what we declare about ourselves. It's as if we are programming a biological computer with code that sabotages our very existence. Neville Goddard, long before modern neuroscience, had already uncovered this mystery. He understood that I am is not a simple affirmation, not just a phrase repeated in hopes that something magical will happen. I am is a frequency, a vibration that echoes through every cell of your body, every thought you think, every emotion you feel. It is the sound of your soul defining itself in the universe. At every moment, you are conducting a silent experiment with yourself. Each time you say, I am, followed by anything, you are sending a direct message to the most sophisticated laboratory that exists, your own body. And that laboratory responds. It always responds. Your cells do not question, they do not judge, they do not decide whether it is true or false. They simply obey the command they receive. What few understand is that your conscious mind, that part of you that believes it is in control, represents only 5% of the real power behind your declarations. The other 95% happens in dimensions of your mind you rarely visit, in frequencies your waking consciousness can barely perceive. It is in this unexplored territory that your words come alive, where I am becomes the architect of your reality. There's a laboratory hidden inside your body that most doctors never talk about, a place where your words become chemistry, where your declarations transform into genetic instructions. Dr. Bruce Lipton spent years studying this secret laboratory, and what he discovered changed everything we thought we knew about human biology. Your genes are not fixed blueprints carved in stone. They are responsive, dynamic, waiting for signals from the environment you create with your beliefs, and most powerfully, with your words. When you say, I am sick, something extraordinary happens in the next 17 minutes. Your body begins activating inflammatory genes, releasing stress hormones, preparing your immune system for the illness you just declared as your identity. This isn't metaphysical speculation. This is measurable, observable science. Your cells don't understand sarcasm, they don't recognize when you're being dramatic or pessimistic. They simply respond to the frequency of truth you're broadcasting through your nervous system. Traditional medicine has built an entire industry around the myth that your genetic inheritance determines your health destiny. But what Bruce Lipton revealed is that less than 5% of disease is caused by genetic defects. The other 95% comes from the environment your genes live in, and you create that environment every single day through your thoughts, emotions, and most directly through your I am declarations. There's a profound difference between genetic inheritance and linguistic programming inheritance. You may have inherited your grandmother's eyes, but you also inherited her way of talking about herself, her patterns of self-declaration, her unconscious relationship with the words, I am. These linguistic patterns run deeper than DNA because they control which genes get activated and which ones remain dormant throughout your entire life. Right now, pause and listen to the declarations you inherited from your family. I am not good with money. I am too sensitive. I am unlucky in love. These aren't just family sayings, they are genetic activation codes that have been passed down through generations, creating the same patterns of limitation in your biology that your ancestors experienced in theirs. Smart people have a dangerous habit. They use their intelligence to justify their limitations, wrapping their fears in the sophisticated language of realism. I'm just being practical, they say. I don't want to get my hopes up. But what they don't realize is that their brilliant minds are being hijacked by the most primitive part of their brain, the reptilian brain that sees any change as a threat to survival. This ancient part of your nervous system doesn't care about your dreams, your potential, or your happiness. It only cares about keeping you alive, and in its primitive logic, staying the same equals staying safe. So when you begin to declare something powerful about yourself, something that would require you to grow or change, your reptilian brain floods your system with doubt, fear, and what feels like rational thinking. The neurological addiction to limitation is real and measurable. Every time you validate a restriction about yourself through "I am," your brain releases a small hit of familiarity chemicals, making you feel grounded, realistic, safe. "I am not creative" feels comfortable because it requires nothing from you. "I am not the type who succeeds" feels honest because it matches the neural pathways you've been strengthening for years. But here's what your intelligent, realistic mind doesn't understand. There's a profound difference between conscious discernment and programmed pessimism. Discernment says, "I need to develop new skills to achieve this goal." Pessimism says, "I am not the kind of person who achieves goals." One opens possibilities, the other closes them at the cellular level. The transformation from toxic realism to intelligent optimism isn't about denying challenges or pretending problems don't exist. It's about changing the identity through which you face those challenges. Instead of "I am overwhelmed by problems," you begin to embody "I am someone who finds solutions." Your circumstances might be the same, but the person facing those circumstances has fundamentally changed. Your body is performing miracles of chemistry every single second, but the most astonishing miracle is how quickly your words become molecules. In just 0.3 of a second, the declaration, "I am anxious," begins transforming into neuropeptides, chemical messengers that carry your emotional state to every cell in your body. Within minutes, these molecules have reached your bloodstream, your organs, your immune system. When you repeatedly declare, "I am anxious," your body doesn't just feel anxiety, it begins producing anxiety at an industrial scale. 1,400 molecules of cortisol flood your system every hour, creating a biological environment where anxiety becomes your body's natural state. Your cells literally learn to be anxious because you taught them through your declarations. Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiments revealed something profound about how consciousness affects matter, but imagine applying this same principle to the 70% of your body that is water. Every "I am" statement sends ripples through your cellular water, creating patterns of harmony or discord that influence how your cells communicate, how they repair themselves, how they respond to threats and opportunities. Cancer researchers have discovered something remarkable about how different declarations affect cellular behavior. Cancer cells exposed to the frequency of "I am strong" begin showing signs of apoptosis, programmed cell death. The same cells exposed to "I am a victim" become more aggressive, more resistant to treatment. Your cells are literally listening to your identity and organizing themselves accordingly. You can measure this transformation in real time. Heart rate variability, brainwave patterns, cortisol levels, immune markers, all of these shift measurably within minutes of changing your "I am" declarations. Your body is the most sophisticated biofeedback device ever created, constantly showing you the biological impact of your words. There's a fine line between authentic transformation and spiritual self-deception, and crossing that line can sabotage everything you're trying to create. When you declare, "I am abundant," while your nervous system is screaming, "This is a lie," you're not reprogramming your reality, you're creating internal warfare. Your conscious mind says one thing, your subconscious rebels, and your body gets caught in the crossfire. The concept of cellular truth versus mental truth changes everything about how we approach "I am" declarations. Your mind can lie, can pretend, can hope and wish and imagine, but your cells deal only in truth, in what your nervous system actually believes is real and possible. When there's a mismatch between what you're saying and what your body believes, your declarations become empty words floating on top of unchanged biology. This is why positive affirmations fail for most people. They're trying to convince their minds while their bodies remain unconvinced. True transformation happens when you find declarations that your entire system can accept as possible, even if they're not yet true. These are your small IAMS, stepping stones that build credibility with your own nervous system. Instead of jumping from "I am broke" to I am wealthy, you might bridge with I am learning about money or I am open to financial growth. These declarations don't trigger your internal alarm systems because they feel possible, achievable, true enough for your body to begin the biochemical process of transformation. The technique of creating declarations your nervous system accepts requires deep honesty with yourself. You must feel into each I am statement and notice what your body does. Does it relax and open, or does it contract and resist? Your body's response tells you whether you're programming or pretending. Time becomes a prison when you use it incorrectly in your I am declarations. I am someone who has always been unlucky locks you into a temporal loop where your past becomes your perpetual present. Your brain doesn't distinguish between remembering the past and experiencing the now when you declare your identity through historical patterns. Neuroscience reveals something fascinating about how your brain processes time in identity statements. When you say, I am someone who was hurt, your brain activates the same neural networks as if the hurt were happening right now. Your nervous system lives in eternal present tense, so every I am based on past experience becomes a current reality being recreated in this moment. Trauma-based identity is particularly insidious because it feels so true, so honest, so authentic. I am damaged feels like an accurate description of your history, but it becomes an inaccurate limitation of your future. Your cells don't understand that you're describing something that happened years ago. They only understand that you're declaring damage as your current identity. The difference between autobiographical memory and future programming is crucial. Memory says, this happened to me. Programming says, this is who I am. One is information about your past, the other is instruction for your future. When you shift from I am someone who was betrayed to I am someone who is learning to trust wisely, you free your future from the prison of your past. Fluid identity is the practice of declaring who you are becoming rather than who you have been. It acknowledges your history without being imprisoned by it. I am healing, I am growing, I am discovering my strength. These declarations honor your journey while keeping your identity open to transformation. Every thought you think generates electrical activity in your brain, but I am declarations create something more powerful than individual thoughts. They create coherent electromagnetic fields that extend beyond your body, influencing the people and situations around you. The HeartMath Institute's research reveals that coherent heart rhythms, often triggered by positive self-declarations, can be measured up to 8 feet away from your body. This is why some people seem to radiate confidence while others drain energy from everyone around them. It's not just personality or charisma, it's the electromagnetic signature of their habitual I am declarations. When someone consistently embodies I am powerful, their nervous system generates coherent brain waves, their heart rate becomes rhythmic, and their entire biofield broadcasts strength. The opposite is equally true and equally measurable. Chronic declarations of limitation create electromagnetic chaos. I am overwhelmed generates scattered brain waves, erratic heart rhythms, and a biofield that unconsciously communicates distress to everyone in your environment. You become an energetic vampire without realizing it, drawing energy from others because your own declarations have created internal electrical turbulence. Perhaps most remarkably, coherent I am declarations can actually synchronize the heartbeats of people around you. When you embody a powerful, peaceful identity, your electromagnetic field begins entraining the nervous systems of your family, coworkers, even strangers. You become a tuning fork of transformation, helping others access states they couldn't reach on their own. You can measure your own coherence in real time using heart rate variability devices, but you can also feel it. Coherent declarations create a sense of inner stillness, groundedness, power without strain. Incoherent declarations create internal static, a feeling of being scattered or drained even when you're not doing anything physically demanding. Your brain is always looking for evidence to confirm what you believe about yourself, but when you declare, I am something, you activate the most powerful confirmation bias system in your nervous system. The limbic brain, your emotional center, begins filtering reality to match your identity declaration. If you declare, I am unlucky, Your brain becomes a detective looking for evidence of bad luck while ignoring or minimizing evidence of good fortune. This isn't just psychological, it's neurological. Your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that determines what information reaches your conscious awareness, gets programmed by your I am declarations. When you embody I am successful, you literally begin noticing opportunities, solutions, and possibilities that were always there but filtered out when you identified as struggling or stuck. The famous red car experiment demonstrates this perfectly. The moment you decide to buy a red car, you suddenly see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but your attention wasn't programmed to notice them. The same thing happens with I am declarations. I am lucky programs your nervous system to notice good fortune, synchronicities, and positive outcomes. I am cursed programs you to notice problems, setbacks, and disappointments. This is the neurological foundation of the ancient wisdom that you attract what you are. You don't actually attract different circumstances as much as you become conscious of the circumstances that match your identity. Your reality doesn't change as much as your perception of reality changes, and your perception is your experience. Breaking negative prophecies already installed in your subconscious requires more than positive thinking. It requires creating new neural pathways through consistent, believable I am declarations that gradually shift your brain's filtering system. Each authentic declaration is like installing new software that helps you see possibilities your old identity couldn't perceive. The ego loves collecting identities like trophies. I am a successful entrepreneur, a loving parent, a spiritual seeker, a health-conscious person, a creative artist. But every identity you claim becomes a prison you must maintain. The more adjectives you attach to I am, the more your authentic self gets buried under layers of personality performance. Ancient wisdom traditions understood something that modern self-help has forgotten. True power comes not from multiplying identities but from simplifying them. The most profound I am declaration is simply I am, with no adjective, no descriptor, no limitation. This is pure existence, consciousness experiencing itself without the need to be anything specific. Spiritually advanced people often use fewer self-definitions, not more. They understand that every identity you claim limits the infinite possibilities of what you could become. I am kind is beautiful, but it can become a prison if it prevents you from setting necessary boundaries. I am strong is powerful, but it can become a trap if it prevents you from accepting help or showing vulnerability. The danger of identity collecting is that you begin performing your identities instead of living authentically. You start monitoring yourself constantly. Am I being successful enough? Am I being spiritual enough? Am I being creative enough? Your life becomes a stage where you're simultaneously the actor, director, and critic of your own performance. The practice of I am without completion is revolutionary. Sitting quietly, breathing deeply, and simply feeling I am without needing to be anything specific dissolves the boundaries that separate you from infinite possibility. In this state, you're not limited by any past version of yourself or any future vision you must achieve. You simply are. While you sleep, while you dream, while you go about your daily activities, your mind is running a constant stream of subtle I am declarations that you never consciously hear. These subliminal self-definitions have more power than your deliberate affirmations because they carry the weight of unconscious belief, the authority of thoughts that feel so natural you don't question them. Research reveals that non-verbalized declarations create deeper cellular impact than spoken ones. The I am statements you never say out loud, the ones that whisper through your internal dialogue, these shape your biology more powerfully because they don't trigger your critical thinking. They slip directly into your subconscious programming without any mental resistance. This explains why quiet people often have more internal power than those who constantly talk about their goals and dreams. Their silent declarations have been strengthening underground, creating neural pathways and cellular patterns without the interference of external validation or criticism. Their identity transformation happens in the laboratory of solitude. Most people are unconscious of the thousands of micro-identities they declare throughout each day. I'm not good at this. I'm running late again. I'm so stupid. I'm getting old. These casual self-comments accumulate like drops of water that eventually carve canyons in stone. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between casual comments and serious declarations. Everything you say about yourself is received as identity programming. The practice of the internal observer is about developing consciousness of your unconscious self-talk. Throughout the day, you begin catching these invisible declarations in real time. Not to judge them or fight them, but simply to become aware of the identity programming that's been running automatically in the background of your mind. There comes a point in consciousness evolution where the need to declare who you are begins to dissolve. This isn't because you've achieved some perfect identity, but because you've transcended the need for identity altogether. You no longer need to convince yourself or anyone else of your worth, power, or value. You simply exist as pure being, without the constant internal commentary of self-definition. Masters throughout history rarely use "I am" statements followed by adjectives. They don't need to affirm their wisdom, declare their compassion, or announce their power. These qualities emanate from their being naturally, without effort, without self-consciousness, without the mental maintenance that identities require. This is the paradox of spiritual maturity. The less you need to be someone special, the more special you become. The less you need to declare your worth, the more worthy you feel. The less you need to affirm your power, the more powerful you become. You stop being a human being trying to become something and simply become something expressing itself through human form. You know you're approaching this mastery when your "I am" declarations become gentler, fewer, more spacious. Instead of "I am successful," you might simply notice "success flows through me." Instead of "I am loved," you might experience "love is what I am." The possessiveness of identity begins dissolving into the vastness of pure being. The final freedom isn't the ability to become anyone you want to be. The final freedom is discovering that you don't need to be anyone at all. You can simply exist as awareness experiencing itself, consciousness playing with form, love expressing itself through the temporary vehicle of your human life. In this state, every moment becomes a perfect "I am" without needing any words to complete it. What Dr. Bruce Lipton revealed through decades of cellular research was something mystics have whispered for centuries. You are the programmer of your own genetic code. Every "I am" declaration you make sends instructions directly to your DNA, activating genes of limitation or possibility, sickness or health, scarcity or abundance. Your cells are listening to every word, responding to every frequency, creating the biological foundation of whatever reality you declare as true. Neville Goddard understood this secret long before modern science could measure it. He knew that "I am" is not just your name, it's the sacred name of the creative force itself expressing through your human experience. When you say "I am," you're not just describing yourself, you're invoking the same power that creates galaxies and grows flowers from tiny seeds. You're speaking in the language of creation itself. So here is your invitation, your opportunity to step into the laboratory of your own transformation. For the next 30 days, become conscious of every "I am" that passes through your mind. Notice the declarations you inherited from your family, the limitations you've been unconsciously programming into your cells, the identity patterns that have been creating your current reality. But this isn't just about personal transformation. The quantum field connects us all, and every time you elevate your own "I am" declarations, you're contributing to the collective consciousness of humanity. Your cells are not separate from the cells of your family, your community, your world. When you heal the frequency of your identity, you send ripples of possibility through the entire human experience. This is your calling to a new level of consciousness, to use "I am" not as a tool for getting what you want, but as a practice of becoming who you truly are. Not to accumulate identities like possessions, but to remember the infinite being that needs no identity at all. When you finally master the power of "I am," you'll discover the most beautiful truth of all. You've always been everything you were seeking to become. You were never broken, never lacking, never separate from the creative force of the universe. You were simply dreaming you were small, and now you're ready to wake up. If this exploration of your creative power resonated with something deep inside you, if you felt the truth of these words in your cells and not just in your mind, then this message was meant for you. Share it with someone who needs to remember their own infinite nature. Let your like be a declaration that you're ready to transform the frequency of your identity. And in the comments below, share one I am declaration that you're ready to embody starting today. Not to perform for others, but to make a commitment to your own cellular transformation. Your words have power, and when you declare your truth in community with others who understand this sacred science, you amplify the frequency of possibility for everyone. Remember, every time you consciously choose your I am, you're not just changing your life, you're participating in the evolution of human consciousness itself.